Morning guys, welcome to another in-depth. Yeah, again, I've not long got out of bed. Excuse the weird hair thing. I ran out of bobby pins halfway through doing my hair, so great fun. So today in in-depth we're going to be talking about emotional coping and kind of the things I went over in therapy this week, which kind of really struck a chord with me. So the first thing I'm going to cover is emotional coping, like I said, and he gave me this rather nifty sheet. As you can see, I've got some of my emotional coping mechanisms there. And so what my CBT is about, which is different from the last time, is last time I was in therapy, it was to tackle my motivation. I couldn't get out of bed, I wouldn't cook for myself, I wouldn't go to uni. It was really difficult. I couldn't find a way to organise myself that helped me in a productive manner, which means that we didn't so much focus on the negative thinking aspect. We were really just geared towards, we want to get you functioning again, in more of a physical capacity, and get you kind of up and about and able to schedule yourself when you feel unmotivated, which has been fantastic. I still use a lot of the techniques that I learned today. For example, the timetables and things I still use to a certain extent. I do have one somewhere. It's probably going to take me like 20 minutes if I can find it though. So I need to print out a new one, because this was when I was still searching for a job and I hadn't become a carer. So this was a blank one of that. That way. So I'd like set myself an alarm and I'd set tasks. So for example, 9 to 10 was feed animals and job searching, and I'd allow times for creativity and kind of dinner prep, any daily notes, and that would be all through the week, and then I'd weekly notes at the back. And I've actually kept one of my old ones. So in order to like keep myself motivated, this really goes into the scheduling one that I did. I would do things like, for example, Monday and Tuesday were days that I had off from this because Rafe Pool would have been off. So on those days that I know I'm going to be with other people, I just kind of scratch it out and go with the flow, make sure I'm socialising, that kind of thing. But Wednesday I've got, 9 to 10, feed cats, chickens and cereal for breakfast, put away washing up. Job search was alter and print CV and cover letter and search one of the job search engines. Study was print a meal chart, make and print a weekly planner, which was this. Workout was physio, and then I did my stretches, and then because it was new I wasn't doing the full hour slot, so under that I've got like prepped dinner and we had udon. Lunch was wash up, and I had rice with seasoning and a miso soup. Creative was write my Nandmo box blog, which, because I'd already done the dinner prep earlier in the day, I went on to work on cover images and things like that for my channel. And then under daily notes I've got things I need to do, which is like fold washing, and then I've also got a note that my parents were coming over. And there were days, for example, Fridays was my physio day, from when I injured my back, so this is from a little while ago, and so I've kind of got only feed the animals and like prep dinner in there, and then the whole day is just written as day off because I have my physio, and after my physio I could do jack shit. So that's an example of a good planner. If I can find the picture that I took it from, I will link it below. It has been a while, so I'm not quite sure if I remember where it is. But that's one of the skills that I learned in my last CBT, which I found extremely useful. My cats are in the background. So this time, because I've already gone through that and the issue isn't so much my motivational targets, I still kind of have those, we're looking at dealing with the kind of thought process itself, which is much more difficult. So the way my therapist kind of broke it down is there's kind of 5 big emotions that we feel, which is sadness, anxiety, anger, shame and guilt are kind of intertwined, and excitement. And of those 5, like 4 of them are very negative. And so we're focusing on that and how our emotions and our thoughts go hand in hand. So if we think something negative, our emotions will reflect that. Or if we think something we shouldn't, or we think we shouldn't be thinking, is a mouthful, we will kind of feel guilt or shame with it, and things like that. So what he was saying was, like, our thoughts and our beliefs feed into perceived bad emotions, so like the shame, the guilt, the cats destroying the house, that kind of thing. And then from there we develop coping mechanisms, which I'm sure we are all familiar with. Things like biting your nails, or overeating, or even worrying. I hadn't thought about this one, but worrying can be perceived as a coping mechanism, because we worry because it is better than feeling the other emotions. But what these coping mechanisms do, whether they're positive or negative coping mechanisms, they just kind of end up in a loop. We end up in like a cycle. The actual definition for a coping mechanism, according to my therapist, is kind of something that makes us feel good temporarily from what we were feeling. And because we feel good, we think, oh, well, that's good, that worked, I'll do that again. And that makes total sense. So although worrying is a bit of a weird one to put in there, worrying inside your own head is more capable than feeling things like shame and guilt. So, a couple of mine. I am very much an emotional eater. That's why I'm not all skinny and shiz. I do avoid things. I do worry. Writing is one of those that can be perceived as positive, but can also have a detrimental effect, because I can go into my own head when I write, and I will often end up repeating the same emotions again. One that I used to do, which was incredibly detrimental, was hot showers. And I sat there thinking, well, what's bad about hot showers? I used to use hot showers as a form of self-harm. I would have the water so hot that my skin would get kind of close to blistering, and because I knew that no one would really see it, it didn't really matter. But at the time I didn't realise I was self-harming with it. I just thought, well, the pain makes the bad thoughts go away. And this is very much relatable if there's anyone out there who wonders why people cut themselves. This is probably, can't speak for everyone, but this is certainly the reason why I self-harmed in a way that was physically damaging to my body. Was I found that if I was exhibiting physical pain, if I was experiencing that, then I could focus on that pain rather than focus on the emotions that were making me feel bad. And it's a lot easier to focus on something that you can control than to just be filled with guilt or anger. It just offers a reprieve, and that's certainly the reason I was doing it. So for anyone who is out there wondering why people would hurt themselves, that's a little bit insight into why I used to do it. So yeah, what we're trying to focus on, instead of going into those coping mechanisms, which we're never fully going to cure, because we're always going to have days where we'll worry, or I'm always going to have days where I'm super stressed and I just need a huge tub of ice cream kind of thing. But we're trying to look at new methods of dealing with those negative thoughts. And then not so much new methods of coping with them, but new methods in a way that I can change how I'm thinking about those negative thoughts, how I perceive them. So yeah, we practiced a few of those. We also went into the fight and flight thing that everyone has. So that was kind of, it's all produced by the same thing, the same chemical in the brain. Same with excitement and fear, it's the same chemical in the brain that produces both. So we kind of touched on that a little bit, and we touched on, let me look through my notes. The reactions in the body when we are experiencing negative emotions. So kind of when you're resisting something or you're panicky, you'll find your body tensing up and you'll find your breath becomes kind of shorter, and that in turn kind of reduces the amount of oxygen that's getting to the brain, and so it stresses the body out even more. It's another one of these vicious cycle things that everyone who deals with any kind of mental disorder has to frickin' get through. It's horrible. And so we went through a couple of methods to deal with that. I had done mindfulness before with my previous therapist, but this was a different kind. So anyone who hasn't done mindfulness, a quick breakdown is, it's about not, it's like meditation in a way, but it's not about thinking about the future or thinking about the past. It's literally, you sit there and the one I did before anyway, you sat there, you closed your eyes, and you just listen to the things that are around you. So for example, right now I can hear the computer, and I can hear the cat grooming, and things like that. So it was a way of bringing you into the now, because I was very much worried about things that had happened in the past, and how they were going to relate to the future in my last therapy. So it was a way of keeping me in the now and not stressing out about those two things too much, which I found really useful. So we approached a different kind, and like I said, I will be doing another video on mindfulness, so I'm not going to touch on it so much today, just because it's something I found so useful, and it's something I still use out of my therapy sessions. So but though we practiced the hands up breathing technique, which was about kind of letting go of negative emotions. It sounds like kind of hippie stuff, but if you're stressed and angry, just taking a deep breath and just being like, okay, I can deal with this, it's fine, it's happened now, I've just got to find out why it happened. In a nutshell. There's a bit more, but I'll cover that because it is a form of mindfulness in the other video. And the other one was about how our minds are made up of questions and statements. So on a general breakdown, we are either asking questions in our head or we are making a statement. So like, oh, well, is what everyone is saying about me true? Would be a question. Or I'm fat would be a statement. That kind of thing. And so we're looking at, when we get those questions and statements, answering the questions, and with the statements, approaching it like a scientific kind of academic paper. was the way I managed to interpret it. And so we'd take a statement and we'd break it down, and then we would kind of just go, well, is that part of the statement true? Is this part of the statement true? Could this part of the statement mean this? And it's just breaking it down. So, for example, one of my personal statements was, when I look in the mirror... Cats. Don't get cats. When I look in the mirror, I am nothing. It's just one of those things that I feel about myself. So, we looked at that, right, that's a statement. And clearly, I am a physical human being, so on that scale, I can't be nothing, because I physically exist. Like, people can touch me. And so I then looked, well, what else could I mean by nothing? And then we looked into kind of, because I'm not traditionally employed, and I live at home because I help care for my mum, by society's rules, I would be considered nothing, because I'm not bringing in kind of the typical money and the typical wage and everything. But then I started thinking, but I don't necessarily care about society standards on that. So why am I letting that affect me? And if that is the reason why I feel like I'm nothing, I'm not saying it is, but if that was, then, you know, am I really nothing if I'm judging myself by someone else's standards? So, kind of, it gets really deep. It got really deep. But the last thing I want to cover, which really stood out to me, was the way we approach our thought processes. Now, it's so easy, especially if you have anxiety, to panic. I've done it. I know plenty of other people that have done it. And it's so easy to just be like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and just freak out. And sometimes you are never going to stop that. You just won't. And then it's horrible. It's nasty. No one wants it. But the way he approached it was, think of going home and your house being on fire, which I thought was a fantastic way to approach anyone with anxiety. It's just like, okay, I'm going to make you panic more. Wonderful. But you said, right, think of going home and your house is on fire. What are you going to do? Are you going to call for help? Or are you going to walk into the burning building and, like, stand there? And I was just like, it depends if everyone was safe. Like, that was legitimately the first answer. He goes, everyone's safe, everyone's outside. Okay. So in that case, I'd call 999. I'd call the fire department. So he's like, right, that seems like a pretty standard response. Like, you'd think that would be kind of a no-brainer. I was like, yeah, why, that's kind of a silly question. And he was just like, okay, so you've gone with, you'd call for help. Well, yeah, well, would you do that with your emotions? Well, no, they're my emotions. He goes, yeah, but it's your house. So, why, instead of kind of going into the room and trying to figure out what was wrong while it's on fire, that's exactly what you're doing with your emotions when, like, you're having a panic attack and you're trying to figure out what's wrong while you're having the panic attack. It just doesn't work. So I had to think about the flames as being my level of emotions, and so by calling the fire brigade, and so by this where the breathing and everything comes in, and calming yourself down, you lower those emotional flames. And they said, okay, so fire brigade have got the flames under control, they're just about to leave, what do you do? Well, I'd ask them what caused it. Brilliant. So they tell you it's, there's one plug socket in the house. What would you then do? I'd fix it. I'd get help and I'd go and I'd fix it. And he's just like, wonderful. Again, now think of that in terms of your emotions. So you've managed to get your breathing under control, you're calmer. Now you've got to sit and you've got to work out what caused that panic attack. Was it because you have a massive fear of bees and a bee flew at your face, or you saw someone who hurt you in the past, or something like that? Because I found 90% of the time panic attacks are linked with very negative emotions. And once you figured out that aspect, that's, you know, asking the fireman what went wrong, then you can figure out how to deal with it. So, you know, maybe don't take your next camping trip next to somewhere that breeds bees. This is a very general one. Or if you know that particular person goes somewhere Sunday at 2 o'clock, try and avoid that place at that particular time until you're ready to deal with those emotions. So yeah, it's about lowering flames, finding out what's wrong, and then figuring out how you can change the situation. Which is, again, it leads all into the changing your thought process. So you're then just going, okay, well, I just won't approach that situation until I'm ready, and things like that. And there are times where I'm just like, gee, I am not doing that, and no. And then there are other times where I'm just like, okay, no, I can deal with that today. So it's about judging your mood. But yeah, so that was my therapy in I want to say in a nutshell, but this ended up being quite a long video. But yeah, that was my therapy this week. Pretty in depth. There was no crying, like I said in my other videos, which was great. But it's a lot to digest, and kind of it's a lot to take on all at once. So you get given homework, like figure out coping mechanisms and practice and things like that. I mean, you're never going to get these straight away. Like any of these methods, you're never just going to be able to go, boom, done, sorted. I know exactly what I'm doing. Doesn't work like that. Life in general doesn't work like that. So everything, including dealing with mental health issues, takes time, takes practice. Which again is the sucky part of it. But ho-hum. I hope at least this video on coping mechanisms and how to kind of deal with them a little bit, and a look into what my therapy is entailing, has been useful to you. If you have, you know, found other ways of changing your thought processes or dealing with emotional kind of aspects of your life, then please share below. If you're feeling particularly brave and want to share your own coping mechanisms, then again, this is a place of zero judgment, people. We're all going through the same shit. So post it below. I will read it. I read every one of my comments, even if I don't manage to respond to them kind of straight away. And if you like watching my videos, think about kind of giving me a subscribe, because that's awesome. It helps kind of boost my morale and remind me that I'm not just a weirdo talking to a camera. Yeah, I am. Anyway, until next time, I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.